Welcome to Reviewing the Ring. WWE will put it out there. I will review and get it back to you. Today, I'm looking at Raw. Right, so we begin Raw with Kurt Angle coming out, opening up the show, and doing what a good general manager does, and that's promote the Raw pay-per-view, No Mercy. This, of course, has got to bring out The Miz, so he can remind Kurt, you screwed me at SummerSlam, and you aren't screwing me now. Angle agrees and announces a #1 contendership match for the Intercontinental title at No Mercy. It's going to include the Hardys, Elias, and Jason Jordan are all going to be in this match because apparently Kurt Angle has rocks in his pocket. He throws these rocks up in the air, and whoever they hit, they get to be in this match. This has got to tick The Miz off, and he is going to go off on Kurt Angle saying that he's a bad dad and he feels sorry for Jason Jordan. So Jordan has got to get all of these chances, and The Miz continues to rip on Kurt Angle until Jason Jordan comes to the ring and says, "Stop talking to Kurt or I'm going to kick your teeth down your throat," because Jason Jordan, apparently this is his angle. Now eventually Miz does get the Miztourage into the match, begins start popping off on Angle again, and then the Miztourage gets whooped by Jason Jordan. Next up, we get Nia Jax going up against Alexa Bliss in a non-title match. Alexa did her thing, running away, being the heel. Nia did her thing, being all strong. Eventually, this is going to lead to Sasha Banks coming out, getting involved, and preventing Alexa from running away. This leads to Nia end up getting the pinfall. And then, of course, this is going to head into fisticuffs between the three ladies. And we get the surprise of the night, which is the return of Bayley in her hometown. She gets the huge pop. Alexa, Sasha, and Bayley team up to take out Nia before turning on Alexa. And we have Bayley. She is back. The return. Now, we will see how she is booked going forward. We do eventually find out that she's going to be placed into what is now a Fatal 5-Way for the women's title in No Mercy. But nice surprise, decent match, Bayley's back. So the tag team stuff was great. Sheamus and Cesaro, who are just called The Bar now, come to the ring. Cut a good promo on Rollins and Ambrose and Gallows and Anderson. This, of course, leads to those two teams coming out. Fisticuffs are going to occur after Ambrose has a hilarious reaction to be calling a nerd by Gallows, and we are going to end up with a triple threat tag match on Raw. And once the match got started, it was great. All three teams, what are they? They are great. Loads of good tag team work, lots of big spots. Rollins and Ambrose's series of suicide dives that they had done was a great thing to watch. The crowd was into it. They were chanting. This was awesome. Rollins even took a 3D. A shame the announcers didn't call it a 3D, but we'll take what we can get. Eventually, Ambrose has got to hit the dirty deeds on Anderson. Sheamus, who tagged himself in earlier when Dean wasn't looking, he's got to dump Ambrose, and Sheamus and Cesaro, or The Bar, as they are called now, are going to steal the win. Following all the goodness that was the tag match, we come to some awful. Curt Hawkins has lost 114 matches in a row, because he told us. He then says he's got to break the streak, and then Apollo Crews beats him in about 3 minutes. Just terrible. They even put up a graphic saying Curt Hawkins is at 115 losses now. What is this ever going to do for either Hawkins or the poor guy that is going to have to eat the loss to break this said streak? You're going to have a guy who lost to a guy with 100 and who knows how many losses, and then you're going to have a guy after 100 and who knows how many losses on your roster, and they're both going to look terrible. Terrible, terrible job, WWE. Next up, we had Michael Cole interviewing Braun, Brock, and Paul Heyman. Everything about it was perfect. Everything that needed to be said was said. Braun has got to burn down Suplex City. Brock responded with thanking Braun for putting his back up against the wall. If you are not ready for Sunday, you are dead inside. Following a promo, we get Roman Reigns' promo, and it was actually a great promo for Roman Reigns because John Cena wasn't in the building, so it doesn't make Roman look weak, and he spent most of the time in the ring showing an old Cena promo where Cena is tearing down The Rock for being in Hollywood, for being a part-timer, and then Roman basically just calls Cena a hypocrite. Everything worked. Moving on. Next up, we get a rematch of sorts between Bray Wyatt and Goldust / Dustin now. He has no makeup on, but he's still wearing the Goldust attire. Bray beats him in about 4 minutes, which is kind of pointless for poor Goldust, but it does eventually lead to Balor on the Titantron informing Bray Wyatt that yes, the demon is strong and tough and whatever the demon represents, but you also have to look at the man that created the demon. So far going into the pay-per-view, this has worked, so pretty good. Next up, Enzo arrives, Braun destroys, random red arrow. Goodbye, Enzo. Punishment continues, I guess. Now we come to the cruisers because this is Raw. You got to have cruiserweights. Neville, Grand Metallic. Decent match. Biggest thing, we've seen Grand Metallic's face now, or at least half his face due to a flub up on the outside with Neville and Metallic. Neville gets the win. That's that. Coming to the main event, we get the six-pack challenge that was made at the top of the show. It sees the Hardy Boys, Elias, Jason Jordan, Bo Dallas, and Curtis Axel going for the #1 contendership for the Intercontinental title. Turned out to be a decent match. Lots of good spots, an amazing superplex involving nearly everyone that was in the ring. Miz was on the outside of the ring watching. He got involved a couple times, breaking up pinfalls and things like that, trying to get the Miztourage to get the win. But the randomness of everybody in the ring, you kind of knew that Jason Jordan was being set up for the win, which he eventually got. And at the very end of the show, the Miztourage, with their numbers, beat down Jason Jordan. And it ends with the Miz calling Jason Jordan a bastard. So that was the go-home show before No Mercy. We got a title match set up between The Miz and Jason Jordan for the Intercontinental title. Bayley is now going to be involved with the women's title, which is now a Fatal 5. The tag teams look good. The Universal title match continues to look excellent. With all that good stuff, there were loads of bad stuff and tons of meh. And when the bad and the meh outweighs the good, it ends up being a bad Raw. It was a promo-heavy show in the ring, add in the backstage stuff, and at times the show really dragged on. The Curt Hawkins stuff didn't help anybody. Goldust was over in a blink. The cruisers were, of course, randomly thrown out there, and whatever you want to call the Enzo stuff, it all brought down what should have been a good show before a massive pay-per-view. Really a shame. Alright, so let's review it. Match of the night, most definitely the triple threat tag match. That ended up being spectacular. Surprise of the night, for sure, Bayley returning in her hometown. Massive pop. She's automatically put into the No Mercy pay-per-view, making that match even better. Overall, I am going to give this edition 2 King Mabels out of 5.